In today's video, we're going to look at the skill of charisma. A lot of people don't see it as something you can actually get better at, but the truth is there are many sub-skills involved in learning the skill of charisma. And so in this video, again, I'm going to show you some of the most impactful ones that affected my life in really positive ways and walk you through some of the steps in the sub-skills, in the skill tree that I've created for you. So jump right into it. So you should be seeing the overview here. So these are the 25 sub-skills that I've identified. So as I research how I can get better at charisma, search through websites, videos, books, and all that kind of stuff, and came up with 3 different sections, groups where you can get better at. So body, mindset, and communication. And so we're going to go through some of them. So the ones in yellow are basically the ones that had the most impact for me. It doesn't mean it's going to be the ones that have the most impact for you, but I just want to share those with you right now. So jump right into it. And we're going to start with communication, which is potentially the most important one, and one that a lot of people don't think about when they think about charisma. So the first one is ask questions. Ask more questions than you offer advice. So especially as a writer myself, I tend to write articles telling people, oh, you should be doing this, that, and that. And when it comes to in-person communication, that's not the right way. You want to guide people into figuring out for themselves what they should be doing. So that's what a real charismatic person does. So in any skill tree, if you click here, you're going to see more a description of what it actually is. So charismatic person asks a lot more questions than they give advice. So they know that they don't have all the answers. And even if they did, they know it's more impactful to actually guide the person to actually figure out the answers to themselves. So to get better at it, if you realize that you're always giving advice to people, and they're not even asking for it, you might want to stop yourself, and instead of saying you should do that, you should ask questions. Why are you doing that? How could you do it differently? This is what a charismatic person does. Next, praise others more frequently. I don't know why we have it's so easy for us to criticize people, tell them the wrong thing, the things they're doing wrong. Why is it so hard to praise others instead? So charismatic people are very good at telling people what they did right and thanking them and being grateful for the things they did. So if we look at the description here, but yeah, be grateful for what others are doing for you, because people don't have to be nice to you. If they're nice to you, you should be grateful for. This one is a skill itself. So this is a broader one. So if you want to learn storytelling, then that's one that's probably going to take you months and years to perfect. But you can get pretty good at it in a short amount of time. So charismatic people are very good at telling stories that move people in the right way, positively. So this was named one of the most important skills to learn according to Warren Buffett, Winston Churchill, Barack Obama, and many more charismatic people. So these were the most important ones that affected my life in positive ways, and I got more charismatic thanks to it. On the communication side, now we're going to look into the mindset side. Charismatic people are givers. So they don't give to receive. They give because they generally want to give. And a lot of people don't do that because they overthink it, or they think it's going to cost a lot of money to give people. But giving is not only about material stuff. So really don't overthink it. You can give in the form of gratitude, like we talked about. So thank people. When I connect with people on LinkedIn or sometimes in real life, if we have the same mission, I offer them, how can I help you? and charismatic people do that all the time. You can also send a thoughtful message. Just this is giving. And also, if you just in everyday life, if you just walk around and see something that you think someone's gonna like, just get it and give it to them. Like, don't wait for a birthday or any opportunities. You can do that, and charismatic people do that all the time. Charismatic people are humble, so they're not afraid to take responsibility for things that they wrong, and so they're not afraid to admit their own failings. If you look at here, what I like here is that if you're a business leader and you want to be more charismatic, one of the ways to do that is take the blame for failures and give credit to your team for success. Even though you might think that it's thanks to you that something actually worked out in the end, your team will greatly appreciate your gratitude towards them. This one's a tough one. Make others perceive that you're able to make the world move around you. So this really comes from taking consistent action towards a goal that people care about. So if we look at here, make it happen. Yeah, you work on altruistic projects that are bigger than yourself, and you lead by examples instead of being, I'm going to change the education system. You act on it and you prove the world that you're doing. You're taking action on some projects that move the needle towards making that happen. And now we're going to look into body. When people think about charisma, they think about charm, and they think about someone who's smiling and has a good posture. And this is true, but this is only one of three aspects. And so one of the things I changed while I was practicing that for the month was I smiled more. And so charismatic people smile, right? And so one of the ways I was doing that is on the way to work, I would smile. So one of the things you may notice is that people look miserable going to work. Whether it's walking or commuting, you look at these people, they don't necessarily look happy. And I didn't want people to look at me and thinking that I'm miserable. I wanted them to look at me and be like, oh, this guy, he's a happy guy. He works on things he cares about, and it's true. So I would have a subtle smile on the way to work. So not my neutral face, just a very subtle smile that if people looked at me, they would be able to tell that I'm happy. Right? I think it's exactly what I wrote here. Yeah, so find ways to just smile more. And if this is something that's hard for you, you might want to practice in the mirror. I know this may look dumb, but sorry. I know this may look a little dumb, but sometimes that's how you gotta practice. The last one is power posing. So I think it was Amy Cuddy who did a tech talk on the subject, and she tried to prove that power posing was actually helping you with your confidence, and charismatic people actually do power pose. And the thing about this one though, so there was a lot of there's a lot of backlash on it, in the sense that people didn't believe that it actually worked, because if you fake it, it won't work. But the reality is that I found for myself is that the more charisma and the more confidence that I built, the more I did that naturally. So power posing is basically being more open with your body language, posture, and that kind of stuff. So I found myself to lean more on other chairs, or talk with my arms like this or like this, and it just comes naturally. So you can practice it, and it could work for you. And so this is what I wanted to look at for the charisma skill. So there's 25 of them. I looked at only a few of them. But what you want to do to get your awareness of how you are, how you feel in that charisma is like any skill up tree. You would go to every small node. So this one's a very easy one because there's not many. There's actually no prerequisites. So it's actually easy to figure out. So you go here, and you can do that on paper, obviously. Well, but you can use the templates that we're providing. If you go here, you rate yourself on how good you are at doing the action. So I like to use a 4-point scale. So 1 is beginner, 2 is intermediate, 3 is advanced, and 4 is expert. I like to use that skill. You can use any skill of your choice, but the idea is that you put your current capabilities in that subskill. So listen more than you talk. In my case, I feel like I'm pretty good at listening more than I talk, and especially now that I've done this. Again, now that I've done this, I ask a lot more questions than I offer advice. Selective hearing, I like to think that I'm good at this. It's still not perfect. I'm going to put it 3. So 4 is really like when everything is perfect. This one a lot of people have a hard time with, but in my case, my phone is a brick, so that's very easy. Praising others, I feel like I'm good at it. Gossiping, I don't like to do that. Oh, this was an interesting one. So reading other people's emotions and reacting accordingly. So there are resources on the web where you can they teach you how to actually read facial expressions. I did some of it, but I didn't get very good at it. So I'm going to put a 1 here. And so I'm not going to do it for all of them, but what you want to do is raise that awareness. And so, for example, I'm going to push share stories. I'm still at it too. I feel in storytelling. So you look at all your points and you try to figure out which ones are going to be more impactful for you. So you want to think the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, where you want to try to figure out what are the 20% of the things you can do that's going to impact your charisma the most. I told you mine. This is the yellow ones. And so if you use that as a template, you can show here that, for example, 2 here is pretty low. So if I do increase that to a 3, that will increase my charisma by a lot. So you want to go through your list and figure out where are your weaknesses so you can get better score at them. Or if you've got 3, so some people like to work on their strengths and become better at it. So you can look at a 3 and figure out how you can convert that to 4. At the end, the higher score, so here in communication, I could go through that and do some kind of average. And it looks like so far, it would look like a 3 here. So I got a lot better at communication during the month that I practiced charisma. In terms of body, I think I'd probably be a... I think I'm a 2. I think I can do better. And in terms of mindset, yeah, I typically I think I would give me a 2.5 on this one, but it's out of the cards. I prefer to go lower than above, but it's up to you. So, and overall, I would make it a 2 for me here. Oh, I guess again, I would be closer. If I average it, I guess that's 3. So, no, that's actually 2. I don't know why I was saying so 2. And so, still a lot more I can do in charisma. I'm happy with the changes that happened as I learned it, but now I know, like doing that exercise, I know that there are things that I can improve on. Definitely learning to read people's. And maybe I'd realize that after doing it more, maybe if I reach a 2 in there, maybe I'd realize that this is actually extremely impactful. And that would be a yellow one. This. So this is how you use a skill tree to figure out your awareness of the skill and figure out the resources you're going to need to search to get better at these things. And for some of the skills, we're going to list some resources here, and obviously in the Notion page, you're going to see resources that I've used and the experts have used and all that kind of stuff. Let me switch back to this view. All right. So this is how I learned the skill of charisma. I practiced for a full month, over 30 minutes a day, practicing intentionally all of these things, and figuring out my plan of action based on these 25 sub skills. And I got a lot better. Like the skills, the numbers you saw me put in there are current day. I was not charismatic, or I think I was not charismatic. I definitely got better at it. And it shows. People tell me that I'm more charismatic, I'm more of a leader. People also start asking me how they can help, so how they can help me, so they know that. So I know that I've had an impact in their lives, and that they perceive as though I can change the world around. So you can use this template. You can add onto it, you can move from it, you can choose what you prefer. The important thing is that you create your own skill tree, skill up tree for the skill of charisma, and rate your stuff and figure out which ones will have the most impact for you. All right, you can do this.